problem on the planet. Yes, please. Kiranji wants to ask a question. Yes.
I'm sure it's for him.
Not for me.
It's not working.
All the questions for Anupam still remain unanswered, even though I've asked them very often. So I won't attempt it again. But I want to say that I'm very privileged to finally see you in person, and have been wanting to do so for many years, but somehow it has never been able to, it hasn't happened. Your book, Mystic's Musings, which I read many years ago when I lost my brother, my younger brother, and it was a great tragedy in the family and something that I was finding very difficult to cope with. It gave me great amount of courage and made me feel much better. I don't know why it did. Maybe some works of philosophy take you into a realm where you're supposed, where it just makes you feel better that you're just a part of a greater design and nothing to feel so sorrowful about. Also, it talked a lot about spirits. It talked a lot about life being a continuous process. So there are about 100 questions I want to ask you, but there's one thing I've been very curious about after reading the book. In that you write about when you and your wife, everybody was constructing the Dhyana Lingam, and you talk about how her grasp of life slipped from her. It became the thread of life or the grasp of life, something to that effect, became very fragile when she could not hold on to it and she passed away. What exactly did you mean by that?
Just yesterday I was, at the ashram satsang when we were there, one lady asked why women are asked to wear, the toe rings. What do you call this in Hindi? The toe ring, not
toe ring,
you're not wearing.
Bichwa.
Yes. So it's called mettu in South. Why women are asked to wear toe rings when they get married? Because marriage was supposed to be such a huge experience that they could leave the body. At the age of 8, they would marry them. They will never see each other till they're 14 or 15. But emotionally, psychologically, she's cultivated to believe that her husband is like God. When she meets him, life will explode. That possibility in the child's mind has built up. When she is physically mature, she is brought into marriage. Because in this country, in this culture, there is no business, there is no marriage, there is no child, there is no family. Everything is just a tool towards your liberation and mukti. You get married because you want to use that as a tool to your liberation. You raise children because you want to use that as a tool to your liberation. You become a sannyasi because you want to use that. It does not matter what you do. Everything is towards your mukti or liberation. Because of this, they nurtured. No matter, you marry and you feel an ecstatic sense within you simply because of the union within yourself, not because of what somebody else is doing. So now in a marriage, what somebody else is doing or what your husband or wife is doing doesn't matter, just the way you are is an explosive experience. This is how a lot of women lived in the past, because the process was very scientific and it was done properly. So they put this metal on the toes and also on the ring finger always, because if there is metal on certain strategic places in your body, you will not accidentally leave your body. So when you do spiritual sadhana, when we notice somebody is becoming very intense, first thing is, I will gift them a simple copper ring, which they must wear and they cannot remove without you also. They must wear and they cannot remove without permission. Because if this simple metal is on the ring finger, when they get into certain states of exuberance, by accident they will not slip out of the body. So she got into such exuberant states. Naturally, certain little bit of jewelry things were there. These things were never discussed till that point. There are many things I refuse to discuss because devices will work well only when people do not know how it works. So we just put it on people, we never explain. But when this situation happened, I had to explain what happened. She sat there on a full moon day evening with everybody. There were people around, and after 5 minutes, it is in the shrine, she got up and went. My eyes are closed, I knew she got up. I got little irritated, because nobody ever gets up once they sit down. Till we say it is time, nobody ever gets up. And of all the people, my wife getting up and going, little irritation in me. One, why is she getting up of all the people? Then I ignored it and I sat down. After 5 minutes, she came and sat down. In another 7-8 minutes, she just went like that. When I looked, she was gone, with a big smile on her face. Then I looked, she has removed her nose ring, she's removed her bangles, she removed her toe rings. See, she did not know intellectually, but at that moment she felt this is what is stopping her. And she pulled out all those things, kept next to the wash basin and came back. And she sat down within 7-8 minutes. But this is not something that happened accidentally. She announced this almost 9 months ahead of time. She had prepared my girl, who was only 7 years at that time, that she's going to leave in this month, but it happened 1 month early for various reasons, so that's a different aspect. But this is not new in this country. Any number of yogis just sit down, announce to everybody and leave their body. This whole process started 1 year before that. 1 year before that, there was a yogi called Nirmalananda in the Biligiri Rangana betta in Karnataka. Anybody been there? BR Hills, you been there? Oh, it's a fabulous place. So, he lived there. For 14 years, he lived in silence, just in the 4-acre ashram, he never stepped out of it. I met him in a strange way. I used to trek in those mountains. So, I go alone and trek for a week, 10 days, when I run out of food and there's no way I can procure anything. I live out of the forest, but when I'm done, I come out and ride off. I park my motorcycle.